Welcome, one and all, once again to your Khan's side. This is a different one because the Khan's been quite busy. So this is a Khan in Khar, potentially getting coffee at some point. Please don't sue me, Jerry Seinfeld. So we'll just be cruising along because, like all good Khans, I'm always on the move. So I'll let you in on a bit of an insight into my daily life. I'm up at 5:05 in the morning. I am at the door 5:30, at work 6:10 in the morning, at work until now 3 o'clock, off home by about 4ish, quick shower, play with the kid because he's my kid, and give him a bath around 5, give him a feed, he's down, and cook my dinner. And then usually finish up around sort of 9 after eating and cleaning up. And then, into bed, have a bit of time with my missus, which is always hard for anyone who's got kids or know the struggle of that. So you do that and then you're into bed by 10:30. So it leaves me very little time to make content, which is what I actually want to do for you guys. And given the time poverty, I just thought we'll give this a try. So enough waffle, let's get into it. For those of you playing along at home the other day, you all tuned in and watched your lovely preview. I am not a Slaneshi player, but you have got to respect those minis. They were beautiful. Very cool, different theme. I honestly think potentially some of those helmets are going to end up on some Drakari models, I'm fairly certain, especially given those Drakari players are getting a new codex. Two of my hardest opponents, Mr. Pigling and Mr. Dale, they are without a doubt frothy over the prospect of a new codex, and I can't wait to see what they do. The preview of that lovely Incubi stat line has got me thinking that power armor is going to get absolutely minced, especially if you're teaming up with Draz or an Archon. Even just an Archon on its own with these things is going to make them really hit hard. Hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, that's going to be brutal. But that was cool. I will admit, I wasn't as excited by about the umpteen thousand books they're going to bring out, especially in a time where, I'll be honest, it's been a while since I've sat down and played, but a lot of people are in the same boat. I'm just not interested in more books, and as a Marine player who's just picked up another codex in probably about as many years, a bit tired of carrying like 4 or 5 books around or having something that's only going to be there for a short period of time. It's not good. It's not good for the game. I mean, like my last army, I did on paper write a few lists. I had one that required a white dwarf, a codex, a supplement, and then the core rulebook to back it up. And that's without going into like, and you needed Vigilus and Faith. Was it Faith and Fury was the other one to get all the other bits and pieces for it to actually work. So there's a fair bit of literature you need to carry around, which is great. Makes you nice and strong. Be able to carry that around, but it's not great for new players. It's always funny, like explaining this to new people. What do I need to play? Well, you need about Tree Fitty. You need about Tree Fitty worth of books before you even put models on the table, and then you're going good. That's if you want to play competitive. If you want to play casual, by all means, just buy the 1 or 2 books. But I am liking what they did with the Codex for Marines. It's quite interesting. Still trying to wrap my old noggin around it, but it's been fun to do. So that was that was all the books. You had the Rust to Rust, fighting for Metallica. Such a weird choice, a weird naming choice to actually do that, to name a place Metallica. Probably wouldn't have done it myself, but each to their own, I suppose. Other news that we had out in that sort of release, we got Sigvald back, and I've worked out that a lot of people are never going to be happy because that model is disgustingly beautiful. Just gorgeous. They took exactly the bare bones of the classic Warhammer model and updated it using their extreme tech that they have now to make him just beautiful. I don't care about the horns. I don't know why people are so mad about it, but there's that. I'm more interested though, like, I'm a weird guy, so you show me something, I'm not interested in what that particular thing is, I'm more interested in what that particular thing represents. So we've had characters coming from Old World in, we've had Gotrek, we've had Archaon, we've had all those people coming through. Now Sigvald. I actually, want to see other Warhammer characters coming through, and I'm wanting them to bring back my favourite Old World Warhammer character, Volton, because he was just awesome. And I know people are like, oh, Celestin Prime, but depending on which fan theory you read, there's about 1,001 different people that Celestin Prime is meant to be. But I want a proper model. I want the flowing beard. I want the massive hammer. I want that back in the game because I think that'd be awesome. But that's just me as a dabbler. What else did we have? We had the Dark Angels coming back with their little codex, which is great. I'm sure there's a lot of Dark Angels players out there to be psyched to get that. I'm always interested in something that helps Marines become, more represented, because according to the literature, they're underrepresented, which is news to me. I think that's a crock, and I can understand why people were freaking out online about that. I don't know. That was pretty much it for that pre-release this weekend that really got to me. I definitely think I did like all of the Slaanesh Mortal units. I think that's really cool. I like the aesthetic they're going for. Slaanesh has been one of those things that's really hard to tie down. It's either, just crazy flowing armor or tits, basically. Which is quite fun seeing. There seems to be a lot of debate about not redefining, but defining more broadly what Slaanesh is. And for me, it's always been excess. It's like whatever you get enjoyment out of times 1,000, you just follow that to its conclusion. So it's either drinking or getting off your head on weird route, or just pain and masochism and stuff. It's just whatever. I don't think it has to be anything, but Slaanesh as a god is all about desire. So finding out what you desire and then tempting you with it. Doesn't matter what it is. Could be power, could be whatever. They tempt you down that path with it, and that's how they corrupt you. Khorne's all about building into your base instincts and violence. So that's his route. That's the way he chooses to go. But that's just sort of my take on the Slaanesh models. I do hope to see more of them. I think they're pretty awesome. I always look at other models. I'm chaos curious, if you will. Like I always think, it'd be really nice to do just a filthy chaos horde. But I can't, because since I last did this, I just realised this is old news, but it's new news to me. Still new because I haven't spoken to you. Is the Broken Realms Morathi. That's been pretty awesome. I've enjoyed that. Especially as a Dark Elf player, it's good to see what I would see as a more traditional Dark Elf list. Would have liked if I had Bolt Throwers back, but you can only have so much. I watched a couple of battle reports using the new rules. And I want to ask any AOS players at the moment, given that the meta is so heavily skewed towards like your Croak and your Teclis and your big mages, I don't want to try and throw down. This is something I learned ages ago in Warhammer. If someone's better than something at you, don't try to fight them. Like, find out where, Art of War, fight the enemy where they're not. So one of the things I find interesting is prayers. I remember when I first saw them, the same as like your litanies for your chaplains, they never really interested me because it was such a 50-50 split. You either work or you don't. But now, given the statistics, I don't know if anyone wants to run this, but I would wager that you're probably better off, this is my theory, you're better off running prayers to counter the magical supremacy of other factions. Like, why bother trying to fight someone in Magic when you're completely outclassed? Just have something they can't interact with. You just got prayers. Boom, done. Roll a 3+, done. 50-50 chance. Great. And the battle reports I watched, like Cinderfell, his battle report, watching those unit of witches just continually get the prayer off and just turn into an absolute wood chipper and just, hit a group of clan rats, or plague monks, I should say. And it's just like plague monks, gone. Next unit, gone. It was so effective. So I'm like, that's where I'm thinking it'll have to go. Whether I then port that belief over to chaplains and things, I don't know. I've tried chaplains a few times. I don't get them to work unless you're going to go the full-on Master of Sanctity or whatever, which, given that it's now in the core codex, it's, a bit handy for me. I might go back and play with that idea. especially because, like, I think as an Iron Hands player, boo to you too. The trick I'll probably be running will be to go for super durable infantry build rather than any sort of tanks or heavy things. But I'm also toying with white scars because new friend of the channel and of myself sold me the Khan. So I now have Kusara Khan, and I've got to sit down and paint him up. I've got such a backlog of miniatures to get through. It's going to be insane trying to catch up on all of my hobbying, mainly because I just haven't had any time. I did have like 20 minutes the other day to sit down and do a bit of hobbying in the morning while my kid was sleeping in his little bouncer. That was fun. You just hobby when you can. Like I'm becoming incredibly quick at hobbying where I can. Like today I had the skulls box, and I've just been sitting there going, I really need to just clip all these off the sprue. So I was sitting there on my lunch break, pair of clippers, just going ballistic, just trying to get them all done in my lunch break. And you've probably seen on Twitter, if you follow me on Twitter, I've done lunch hammers before. I've assembled things on my lunch break. I think for me, given that schedule I outlined earlier, this is just how I'm going to have to hobby from now on. It's just what I can when I can. But it's not all been too bad. I also had some great times a couple of weekends ago with the classic. My friends from high school, Nick Cohen and Haley, all came down and we got together and played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which was a great day, to be honest. Drinking scotch, playing Xbox. We set up, we got 4 TVs in the one room. It's a great way to be. God, it's good just to do that. That game is awesome. I don't care what anyone says. I've heard a lot of criticism online of like, oh yeah, it's just a Viking game with the Assassin's Creed logo on it. Well, cry more. It's a great game. I enjoyed it. If you're going to make a game that's great. And to be honest, I love just when you roll up on a village or on a church and you hit that raid button, horn blows, and all you guys jump over the edge of the ship and run in. Oh man, the drums. You just hear the drums in the back of your head and you're like, oh yeah, I'm in this moment. It's really good. So much so that I want to try and write some more stuff. The other stuff I've been doing is a lot of writing at the moment. So even though I'm not producing content or releasing it, produce is the wrong word. I'm definitely producing it. It's writing. So I've got the scripts written up for 2 more videos. I've got another Fireside with the Khan in the works. So that'll be cool. It's all going to be about terrain, just to give you a bit of a heads up. So same style as the last one about the meta. I'll be mixing ancient history and things in it to sort of just keep continuing the edutainment. I'll continue to provide some voice clips for the Down Under 40k League podcast with Dale and Ben. So you can check them out, by the way. They're awesome. And it's basically been about it for the producing content and stuff. Doing a bit of terrain projects that I'm working on a blog post for, which I'll take the Mickey out of the block. So for those of you who don't know, I got a PDF copy of the old 1990s Warhammer Townscapes, which was a cardstock release, which is a series of like, print this out, cut it out, fold it up, now you've got a terrain made out of cardboard. Yay. So what I'm doing is taking those plans and then putting them onto foam core and making it a lot better, texturing it up. I was out on the weekend buying supplies for that, which was good fun. So I've got some nice putty, so I'll be able to do some wall work, which will be good. I'm still buying shitloads of Mortal Realms magazines. Can't help myself. I'm still on that train because it's just so good. So my son's Little Harlan's Night Haunts, I think he's now up to about 60 odd, 50 or 60 odd of them now, through various different models. He's got a Banshee, he's got a Briar Queen, he's got a bunch of chain rasps. Yeah, that sounds about right. Chain rasps, and he's got coming up. They're releasing the one with the 2 cavalry dudes, the Nighthawk cavalry, so I'll be picking that up for him. I'm sure he'll get to be old enough and then he'll be like, I'm not doing any of this, Dad. I'm sure that's what's going to happen. We'll see. yeah, that's all my hobbying stuff. Still painting a bit, so I did some more work on a Terminator the other day. I do plan to muck around with my list. So because they're now 3 wounds and they've got such good upgrades now, the Terminators, I'm tempted to run a unit of 10 Iron Hands Terminators, or potentially if I go down the White Scars path, because I've got the Indomitus half, and I'm tempted to. I've got the Indomitus half, and I also have the Shadow Spear half as well. So I'm looking at those models and trying to see, is there a play here, and looking at secondaries, because I'm sort of learning, instead of picking killing secondaries, because we're past that age where you kill heaps, I'm trying to look at playing secondaries that don't interact with my opponent. That's what I'm learning. Same as the prayers thing. I've been looking a lot at the philosophy of just stuff that you can just do that your opponent can't interact with. Like that's my new approach to gaming. I'm trying to build something that the opponent can't interact with, which sounds like a really unfun game for my opponent, and I hope they don't hate me when I do it, but that is what I'm trying to do. I'm really hoping that pays off. Pays them dividends, as I used to say. What else can I tell you guys about? It's interesting, like, it's been so long since I've sat down and actually had a chance to record. Oh, of course, how can I forget? The Sons of Behemoth FAQ has just had me in stitches. If you don't follow me on Twitter, jump on, go down my timeline, my feed, and look up the lovely meme I created about this update. So this is interesting, because I'm always in a position of looking at how it affects Age of Sigmar, and does Age of Sigmar come back into 40k, because as we all know, Age of Sigmar Edition 1, you will never convince me that was not a playtest for 8th edition, and likewise 8th edition wasn't a further refinement to get to the Age of Sigmar 2. And given the Broken Marathi books, there's a lot of speculation we'll go straight into Age of Sigmar 3, a la the Psychic Awakening going into 9th ed. And, you know, bully for me, because I always seem to try to find a point to enter into these games, because it's always like, now, no, not the right time, can't go in yet, shit. So I'm sort of hoping that what we see, like, that's why I like the development of the story in Broken Realms Marathi. So I always found interesting when I got into Age of Sigmar, I was trying to understand the concept and the character behind the Dark Elves. Because I was a Dark Elf player in Warhammer Fantasy, so that were my go-to. I like my little murder pixies. But they never seem to make sense. I'm like, oh, okay, they're a faction, but they're on the Order side, and they're living in cities with stormcasts and goodies, but they're still raiders. And then I read, I think it was Nick Horth's Heart of Winter, and that really helped me wrap my head around the idea. I'm like, oh, okay, so really what they're doing is they're chafing at the bit, waiting for their opportunity to cut sick again and remember the old ways. So I can get down with that. So I started building Scourge Privateers. I built my first 10. I was doing a classic anvil card. I was going to do the 1 in 4 being Stormcasts. I got my hands on a couple of the Celestial Ballistas. Yeah, they were cool. I got those pretty cheap. Here's a lesson in economics. This is one of my videos that I'll be working on. It's called The Wolf of Warhammer, where I talk about economics. So a easy build ballista is like, what, in Australia I'm talking here, it's about $40. Yeah, about $40. So I went and picked up the two copies, not deliberately, I'm an idiot. I put my name down at one news agency, because how they work, so a bit of a look into distribution, because I had a chance to sit down and talk with a news agency lass about this. So all those like magazine series where you get the first issue at like a ridiculous price, which in Australia was like $6 for the first Mortal Realms with 13 miniatures. I mean, how do you not get on that? And then it would go up to 14, then up again to 20, you know. But what a lot of them used to do is they would just release all of them to the news agencies. Every edition, every single one would come through. now what they do is they try to get you hooked on phonics. No, they try to get you hooked on a subscription, because then it cuts out the news agency. It brings more of the capital back to the primary producer, which, capitalism is what capitalism is. I don't blame them for playing this game. Power to you. I do the same thing. But that just means that the news agencies are playing this weird game where they're like, yes, we'll stock Mortal Realms, or Conquest was the first one. So we'll stock this magazine until they eventually say that's it, and they cut us off. So I'm sort of like, cool, I don't want to have and everything. So I went online and looked up the broken Mortal Realms magazine issue contents list, was the Google search, which took me to Fohammer, and they had the list. So I was able to then go, right, well, I know it's coming out each week, so I'll just dog in, get it, and dog out. But I really, really wanted those ballista, because I'd seen some amazing conversions where they'd been turned into Dark Elf bolt throwers. And I was like, money, I'm going to do that. So I put my name down at one place, and they were like, we don't think we're going to get them at that point, because I was weeks ahead. So I put my name down at one, put my name down at another, ended up getting the phone call from the first one, yeah, we got them. Phone call from the second one, yeah, we got them. So I ended up getting two, and I ended up giving part of it off to a mate. But basically, I got two ballista for the price of one. Because this is where it's wild. If you know how to look for things, you can get away with stuff pretty easy. It's the struggle street of trying to buy everything brand new. So I'm always on the grind trying to find some new thing. Like, I'm always trying to find a cheap way to get water. Which is also why, you find so many people who buy box sets and break them up and sell them off for piecemeal. And then you've got a weird situation now with the release of Ninth Ed, where you've got all these weird boxes that are coming out, like the Elite Edition, the Command Edition, the what's the other one? Command Edition, Recruit Edition. And they've all got these parts in them that others don't. And then you get a situation where if you want to buy a box of Outriders, this is Australian prices, I'm saying. Like, just remember, I'm Australian, as if the nasal twang didn't give it away. To buy a box of 3 Outriders in Australia is like $90 odd. But to buy the box set that has them in it, well, it's an amazing price that's cheaper, and you get other stuff in it. So you get all these things. And I'm at the moment trying to hear back from... Oh, you know what? Look at this. I'm going to have to do a U-turn. I'm trying to hear back from a reseller, if that's the right word. And this guy is prolific. And what he does, because I want to get his input for the Wolf of Wall Street video. So what he does is he gets copies of games, like he'll buy 2 or 3, then he'll break them all up and sell them all off. And I myself did this to subsidise both 8th Ed and 9th Ed starters. So the 9th Ed, what I did was I ended up buying it, I think it was like 200 and something. I got a discount because I pre-ordered it from an independent local game store. And then I flogged the Necron half off for $100. So essentially, for the price of a Start Collecting box, I got the Indomitus half with the book, which is, that's money. That's the bickies, as Dale would say. But this is where I want to hear from this guy. I'm always curious as to how these people are consistently buying stuff and breaking it up. I'd love to just pick their brain about what it's like to do that, because especially under the background at the moment of hatred for scalpers, how that's going. But I've seen people selling off the Indomitus box for 40 bucks for this character, 40 bucks for this character, and when you add it all up, they've made the money for the box off the characters alone, because that's what people want, so they just can't get it. I would like to see what happens with this. I'm still waiting to hear back. It's always a weird question, because you don't want to peer into someone and go look, I'm going to gotcha. I'm not here to do gotcha journalism. I'll leave that for Vice or or what's the other one? Wall Street Journal. Let them do it. But yeah, I'm just curious as to how this system works. It's just crazy. I'm always amazed when people can just be crazy on how they're buying and selling Warhammer. And for me, it's like, get good scrub. So learn the system, get good at it. I don't hate the player, I hate the game. You know, that is how it is. I don't blame anyone for doing this stuff. Especially when you're I don't believe in sailing the high seas. I'll never advocate that. By all means, buy the product, but you know, buy the product as best you can. It's just I question that to play. Like, I remember getting so burnt as a filthy meta chaser when I went and bought the Iron Hands Codex supplement, the Iron Pappy model, the objectives cards, play cards, and then a week after I got them, nerf. A week after. But that's also a bit of the economics. This is like blue chip items where something changes. So for example, at the moment, like, everything that's old is new again, with Terminators and Marines getting their second wound or extra wound and stuff like that. So it's like those items that people were holding on to are now worth something. So I always find it interesting what in the meta, you know, comes and goes. And of course, like, realistically, there's probably, in my opinion, a little bit of a, you know, let's be honest, Games Workshop needs to shift something. It's a very easy mechanism for them to say, this is now awesome, these are the rules, go and get amongst it. So yeah, just saying, that's what I reckon has gone on a lot of times, and people go and they smash them. So I love seeing it on the buy, swap and sell forums and things like that. It's like, whatever the latest big ticket item is, just seeing everyone go into their cupboards and go, like, I call it the De Beers model, where it's like, okay, we've got these items, now they're valuable, flood the market. Oh wait, we've flooded the market, so now the items aren't worth as much. And I mean, this happens at the beginning of every release. So with the Indomitus stuff, there was so much stuff I saw, like Necron halves selling at ridiculously low prices because that was now common on the market. Then you got people now that have held off and they're getting a better price for things. It's all about knowing when to buy and sell. It's a plastic crack stock market of its own design when you get into it. So I find it fascinating. But that's just me rambling about that. So, rounding up, what am I working on? Working on a terrain project, which is good. Gonna have to crack into some Mortal Realms terrain. I'm really on terrain at the moment. Hobbying when and where I can. And basically trying to get to a position to make better content. Learning how to edit. Also sent off my Black Library pitch, which was fun. I worked with Mr. Wolf, which was great. It's amazing when you meet random people on Twitter and then you find out, like, holy shit, this guy works for, oh wow, I'm now talking to a Black Library author. Wow, okay, we're going to do this. It's great. So I want to thank him for everything he did there. Because he was pretty cool at helping me out with my writing. I also smashed out a quick fast fiction piece and sent it off to I can't pronounce the name, Renee 9 or something like that. And I made honourable mention, so that was nice. And that was literally done in my lunch break, smashed it out. It was really funny on the video when he read my piece out. He goes, "This is really good. Not if this is a first pass, amazing." And I'm like, yes, first pass, nailed it. But yeah, my formatting was garbage and I needed to proof it a bit more, but hey, it is what it is. You got a lunch break, you got 30 minutes, you write a 1,000-word story, you send it off. Bada bing, bada boom. Next minute, you're getting on YouTube, so yay. Hashtag humble brag. So I've been doing a bit of writing there, working on the blogging stuff, dropped an article about everyone's favourite boogeyman, the female space marine. That's another fun one about economics in there as well, if you like that. I was very much in economics mode this last month, has been the big focus. So economics of points, economics of, buying plastic crack models, whether it was the Mortal Realms stuff or the buy, swap and sell stuff, or what's good, how does the meta affect that. That's what my focus has been on this last month. is really trying to tie that together. So hopefully I'll be able to nail all of that in the Wolf of Warhammer video. So look forward to that. In the meantime, I've had a bit of a stalemate with the podcast, so I'll probably be doing more of it on YouTube. So look forward to that. And like at the moment, I've got to learn how to. I've got to sit down and do a stream, but I've now decided just to be straight out lazy. I'm waiting to hit 300. I want to see 300 before I do a stream. So there's that. That's basically where we're up to. Alright. So I'm just going to pull over here. I've almost got to my stop. So we're just going to stop here. There we go. Money. Alright, so it's good seeing you as always. I'll keep you updated. Sorry for the, guerrilla style of this and the cheapness of it. I will do better in the future, but I just want to touch base with you. So, see ya.